You watch as the Bright Queen nods towards you and glances over towards one of the nearby male drow figures sitting to the right of the dais. You can see very handsome, kind of head held high, looking down upon this with just a curious glance. A similar mantle to what you noticed Lythir wearing, but much more elaborate. And you can see the robes that he's wearing that pretty much can entirely obscure the body. They just fall, they go entirely around the mantle and close in the front, so it's just this beautiful, draped, deep purple and black robe that completely obfuscates the body. Glance down and the Bright Queen turns and goes, Shadowhand, can we confirm there has been some kind of Imperial Goblin capture? Most of my den live within the Lucid Bastion, but I spend a lot of my time either researching dunamantic pursuits within the Bastion or within the Conservatory.
Are those the main avenues for learning such?
They are the only avenues. Why do you ask?
Well, I am a big learner. I'm curious. I know that we are new here, but I am very interested in tutelage in this field, and you have been privy to our conversations with your queen, and...
Show me. Show me something impressive. Show me something at the height of your power. You are an arcanist, yes?
Do you wanna go inside for this, or at least in the threshold of the walls and not be in the street?
If you are trained enough to be pursuing such things, that you would know the limits and the safety of your capabilities. So, show me.
A translucent cat floats just in front of Essek's face, and a gigantic claw flexes in front of Essek between me and him, and is interposing between me and him.
I immediately look around to see if anyone's watching.
A lot of people are watching.
Yeah, a bunch.
I mean,
this is the third weirdest thing that's happened.
Yeah. you guys have become the weird neighbors real fast.
The cat claw does one of these.
Yeah.
Interesting. And if I might ask, what is it that you're seeking? What is your ultimate goal? Anyone who pursues such magics to an extent has something that they wish to do.
I am of middling experience in the traditional sense. What I'm very curious about is the arcane here in your country.
Yes, you and many.
Yes, but as you know, my people are perverting your magic. And we wish to work with you to prevent that, as we have exhibited. And I wish to understand better so that I can better help.
Make one more persuasion check.
Ooh, come on,
Kay. Come on, KK.
Just a 12.
Oh.
Just a 12?
No, yeah.
I'll inspire you.
Okay. He looks over and goes, Very busy right now. And
I invited you twice, but yeah, go ahead, enter. Yeah.
Yes, it would be lovely to have you inside our home.
I mean,
I
yes.
wasn't asking you.
The cat's claw turns sideways, and just one claw hooks into the door and pulls it open.
Ding, 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 ding.
Hi, everyone! We wake down from the tree.
I'm getting out of the hot tub with Yesef. Oh, there we have company! Put him away. Put him away.
A slight bow. Willkommen.
He just kind of glides over and looks towards the closest thing there is to the study that you guys had set up at this time. Mm-hmm. It's empty, but it could work.
Do you want that cocktail? Caduceus has been making something with turmeric. It's really weird. It's a very refreshing cocktail. Perfect for this nice fall breeze.
sure.
Jesus Christ, look at that. See what fucking fucking host. I'm a fucking host. Yeah. Hosting.
So,
Take that hospitality.
Essek traces something in the air with his finger, and the slight glow emerges, and you watch from the glow as it pulls out and widens. A tome just apparates into his hand. His other hand comes out from under the cloak and flicks through. Do you have means of copying? Let me teach you a few things.
Dope.
Oh,
So
damn.
he will teach you up to 3 spell levels of Dunamantic magic.
Oh, shit. Don't smile, motherfucker. Don't get excited.
Well, stop flipping out at me.
So this could be 3 utility meager spells of Dunamancy. You have a few things at your disposal. There is also a few with a slight more kick. And, or one that has a little more of a influence, if you will. What is your interest? Are you interested in things such as density, gravity, things that manipulate the relationship between objects? Are you more interested in the bending of fate, destiny? Or
Ding, 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 ding.
Or do you wish to find ways to sap and scatter the potentiality of your enemy?
Let's go back 1.
All right. We have... offers you these 2.
Oh, shit crackers!
What is it? What is it?
Don't worry.
Oh, never tell us.
I'll never tell.
And so take the necessary time and the necessary cost of paper and ink to copy those spells into your spellbook.
Okay.
And when you complete, you can see there's plenty of other spells in the book, but he watches you like a hawk, and every time you get interested to peek, you can sense his presence looming. And you gather you would not want to challenge that trust. Mm-hmm. Upon the completion of the secondary spell,
I can barely afford to do these 2, so...
the tome closes, and you watch as it kind of almost seems to spark and scatter away into nothing.
Wow.
Ting, ting, ting.
Thank you.
Moscow Mule.
I'm interested to see what you do with these.
I need a little bit of time.
Rudimentary, but they are the beginning building blocks.
This is a great gift.
Remember it. There may be a time when I need to call the favor back in.
Done.
Very well.
What do you think?
Would you like a closer look at the tree?
I'm fine. And it's not bad. Unique, is that turmeric?
Mm-hmm. Caduceus calls it a white Jorhassian.
Mildly racist, but the room gets real, like, just quiet and awkward for a moment. He goes,
Rough choice.
Wow.
Pure intentions.
enjoy the rest of your evening. And he leaves on that note.
I really would have leaned with a turmeric or not to turmeric. Not turmeric.
Probably a better choice.
Going for the Lebowski.
She looks over towards Essek. They've been assigned as your wards, and you trust in this, yes? You believe them? Essek's sitting there in the chair. You can see the hands just barely crossed, kind of poking through the cloak. He goes, I trust them.
He's been checking on that ship.
Probably.
She gives a nod. Well, we shall plan accordingly. And for that, we are very grateful. You've proved worthy allies to the dynasty, and this loyalty will be rewarded. Now, you say this individual that you've seen is coming to the city.
There's a rendezvous
Tomorrow night,
at this apothecary.
the Overcrow.
See to this. Find and bring me this individual.
Yeah, we could totally do that. That's no problem.
Do you not believe you are capable?
Your Highness, of course, I believe we are capable. We're super strong.
We have very capable. If there is any doubt, we can have others.
There is no doubt.
No, we got this.
Essek kind of puts his hand up to his arm and
Did
goes,
you come, Essek?
well, I have my own business to attend to, but I will vouch for their capabilities. And my tutelage. And Brecken kind of gives him a look and goes, well, if this is true, you know this man of which you have seen.
I also want to find Thales before we leave. Sometime before we leave.
Oh, Essek.
Yeah, Essek Thales.
Yeah, well, we're not, I mean, we have to wait till tomorrow, right, before we can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got time.
You don't really know where to find Essek beyond the Lucid Bastion, in which he was in the chambers earlier. It's been a couple hours. Are you trying to head back to the Lucid Bastion to retrieve
Yeah,
him?
I would head back to where we had our audience with the Queen, knowing that it's foolish and I'm not going to get a hold of her. But start inquiring to him.
All right. You are definitely held from entering the Lucid Bastion. The guards there are saying that, you have had one audience, and that is what you've been granted. But upon asking for Essek, you were asked to wait for about 30 or so minutes. And then he emerges, kind of looking about, and turns to you with a smile. Hello. I heard you were looking for me.
That is correct. Do you have a moment for me?
A moment I can spare, yes. What do you require?
I'm embarrassed, but I have just come from your presence. The Queen granted us the ability to visit the Scourger that you have there.
Right, I remember seeing you request this not long ago.
They are marked to die, correct?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Execution. I heard execution mentioned.
Right, they are to be executed, yes.
Is there a timetable on that?
Not entirely certain. I think they're to continue interrogation for at least a few more days before they deem them of no further interest. So?
I'm just hoping you could stick to that timeline. I know it's a foolish request, but you have some idea of my past, yeah?
A fraction, maybe?
I once was on a path to be one of these, and I thought there was a chance I might have known this one.
Are you telling me you were a Scourger?
No. I know about them a little bit.
Right.
And I thought that this one, well, the chances were slim. I thought this one might be a person that I came up with in the Empire. Knew something about, and perhaps I could be useful for my dealings for your queen, and I was incorrect. Caught me off guard. Frankly, it would have caught me off guard if it was the individual I thought it was, possibly. But I would like to speak to them further, but I have an errand to run, and I just don't want to miss my window, and I need to get my thoughts in order, and sometimes I'm like this. I like to have order, and don't feel...
So are you requesting that we not accelerate this timetable, if I'm to understand?
Yes, I thought it might be as early as this evening or tomorrow morning, but it sounds like I have a few days.
I'll see what I can do.
I would very much like to speak with this person again, even in your presence, if that makes it more conducive.
I'll see what I can do.
Okay. That's it. I don't want to push my luck. I appreciate your help.
Of course. I have to get back to business, if you don't mind.
Certainly. Thank you.
Light be with you. And Essek turns around and enters the Lucid Bastion, leaving you there kind of solitary, still standing in the exterior courtyard.
What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? You gotta keep the group together. Focus on the group. Focus on the group. I just start walking in random directions for a minute and then realize I'm an asshole and start walking towards Shore House.
Okay.
Skis.
No, I think we should introduce. But we could do that if you guys want to go ahead and get a head start.
Fine with me.
I agree, but I would say that I'm not entirely sure of Essek's intentions. So, if we introduce you to this individual, be extremely careful with him.
I am extremely careful with everyone.
Are we all
He's pretty hot, so.
Plus, doesn't he possibly have the ability to see skies and stuff?
All right, so at around this time, Caleb returns, gathering materials as well, including what Caduceus was requesting, right about the time that Essek arrives. Now, you see arrive to the front a male drow, short white hair, kind of a perpetual soft smile, a similar mantle of armor to the soldiers that you saw exterior, but beneath it a cloak of dark purple kind of just drifts below and obscures the entirety of his body as he kind of glides in, no bobs or footsteps, just kind of drifting to the front of the house and entering the chamber upon being met with the rest. It is good to see all of you well. And this is the friend you were talking about?
Mm-hmm. Kind of lean over to Jester like, he is hot. Wow.
If I might inquire, what is your name?
Srini.
Well, welcome. Where do you hail?
Nicodrana.
What? Sorry, you're speaking very quiet.
I'm from Nicodrana. Yeah.
Me too.
Indeed. So, you required my assistance. My time is
Yes.
Really
limited.
valuable.
Remember how you teleported us somewhere?
Yes, to the Graying Wildlands.
We need to go somewhere else.
Whereabouts?
So it's called Mythborough.
Very well.
Have you heard of it?
Oh boy. We have a map.
No.
Oh,
So we do have a map, but
Well, I thought we would sleep once we're there.
Yeah.
why? Why would we do that when we could sleep here
To get
instead?
a better sense of where we are and
But what
we
if
should
something
be.
attacks us there and we're not rested and we could be rested and go?
Could we put a
Well-
pin in that for just one moment? May I ask you, this is a separate topic.
Yes.
How is the timeline that we have discussed?
We are looking at an extension of maybe 2 more weeks.
Oh.
But I have pushed to the extent of my ability.
Well, if we leave in the morning, we have 2 weeks, that's good, I have time, but perhaps tonight, now, today, would I be able to get in to see this prisoner again? Or sometime
There
in the
needs
next
to
2
be a
weeks?
bit more of an acknowledgement in advance. Even I have my limitations within my den.
Of course.
And I've already pushed that to a limit to make good on your request. If you intend to leave, well, tomorrow, then I'm not entirely certain why you summoned me now. If you intend to leave tonight, either way, you would need a few days for me to bring this to the den before
We'll leave tonight then. If there is paperwork or logistics involved, consider this my formal application then.
I will go ahead and put it in.
Thank you.
Now,
I feel like I'm pushing too much. It's too much.
I'll ask
I
him.
like it.
Yeah, there's one thing. Caleb is such a polite young man. He wouldn't bring this up to you and bother you with this, but he found an amazing page filled with magic and wonder, and you might be the key that unlocks it.
Also, I brought you a present.
yay.
I pull out the cupcake. It's fresh, I swear.
Kind of extends his hand, and the cupcake kind of lifts out of your hand and kind of drifts,
I did that
drifts over.
Oh, this guy's a germaphobe.
That's why he floats. Like Howie Mandel.
Thank you. And it kind of vanishes beneath the cloak.
Oh, he eats with his sleeve.
Subtle chewing noises emerge from it.
Caleb
It's like Bishamon from Darkstalkers. Anyway,
sheepishly fishes that page out and says, I've only just acquired this, but it is stumping me a bit. Does this mean anything to you?
reaches out and takes the page, kind of unfurls it. And begins like subtly incanting some spell, and you begin to recognize it. Hopefully, make an Arcana check.
What he's casting?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sure. That's 26.
Dispel magic.
Oh, wow.
I was going to do that tonight at bedtime, but great.
He completes the cast. You watch as suddenly all the writing on the page flares. You hear a tearing sound, and it seems like dropping out of the bottom of the page. 2 pouches and a round case.
Whoa!
Onto the ground.
Oh my god.
He goes, I think I figured it out.
Sometimes the simplest solutions escape us. I'm in your debt again.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Cool.
Yes, yeah. So I scoop up the things and hide them away for now.
Okay.
A short time later, what is it?
He's here.
I'll get it. Mage hand, open the door.
It opens. Yep.
I have needs.
Indeed. He makes his way in. Well, it is good to see that you have survived your encounter, it would seem, with the dragon's den of which I last sent you.
Yeah, we were amazing.
Quite successful.
A bit of a close shave, but we made it.
Good.
Good at improvising.
The dragon's name was Gilladon.
Never even saw us there.
Well,
Mostly.
somewhat, a little.
Still very impressive. Not many have done what you've done and come back unscathed, it seems. I'm impressed myself. So, what is it you've summoned me for?
Well, we have been running our errands, and we are back. We feel it has been a while since we have checked in with the Queen and yourself. And we mean to be of use, if we may. And I
I
hope...
want to say a big thank you again for, taking us to where we need to go. I just wanted to try that. Okay, keep going.
No, that's fine. Our track record has been a little less stellar than I would have liked, but I would hope that this encounter with the White Dragon would speak.
Wait, what? We're fucking great.
Well,
know.
we also haven't heard about any reports from, our last incident.
No.
We were curious if there had been any word of any sight of the laughing hand of this creature.
As of this point, no. All right. Following Essek, you're brought through the familiar space of the Shadow Shire, beneath the center of the city of Rosona, towards the Dungeon of Penance, through the strangely off-putting interior, and feeling the kind of central enchantment of the space clouding your mind but a bit. But eventually you find yourself standing at the familiar cell where you first had met the prisoner.
Or.
All right, so yeah, you push her back. The chains kind of pull taut against the backside as she's now kind of pressed against the other half of the taut weight. You pull Caleb back, the blood kind of just out of the wound. Managed to not strike quite as vitally as she had hoped. Though in the moment, it still frightens you to see the amount of blood with a simple puncture. The guards immediately rush in and, raising their crossbows, fill her chest with bolts. At which point you watch as she begins to lift up off the ground from the chains, and you see Essek, his hand out of his cloak, lifting her off the ground. And you see her kind of like, from blood pouring from the corners of her mouth, her eyes wide, as it kind of just looks to you.
I walk up to her and just stare into her eyes from 6 inches away.
Whoa.
To Essek.
And you watch as her entire central torso crushes inward. The chains go taut, and you hear the metal bend as some of the chains begin to pull and break in places before she is dropped at the ground limply.
I'm going to look into Caleb's eyes as that was happening. I wanted to see what he was.
I am helping apply pressure.
Got any healing spells with that pressure, Cad?
You can't do them in here. We gotta
Move them out. Here, I'll help Cad move them out.
We can't do it in here.
Out of the cell, out of the cell.
Why not?
Can we heal him? Can we heal him?
Essek can.
We can heal him. We can heal him.
Thank you. Okay, I'll
The guards
do
have already loaded new bolts into the crossbow, and they're all just keeping an eye on the somewhat mashed
Cure
corpse.
wounds.
Cure wounds.
I'll just do a level 3 cure wounds. That ought to do it.
Let's see what you got, because if not, I'll do.
Okay.
Look at those dice.
I know. Isn't that nice? 6, 12. 18 points of healing.
I'll do cure wounds. It looks like he's still bleeding a little bit. I'll do a level 2.
Alrighty.
That took an unexpected turn.
Kind of saw that whole thing coming, I'm not gonna lie.
Are you okay? Did she give you any useful information?
12 additional.
Oh, yes.
Yes?
Oh, yes.
Do you have anything else you want to talk to her about?
Oh. Don't think she's going to hear it.
I don't think she would be willing, though.
That can always be handled.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Death is just a pause.
Oh, yes.
She still might not want to talk.
Kind of seemed like.
Essek. Would you allow us to use this corpse for an interrogation?
Under our supervision, quickly, and do not mention that I allowed this to anybody. Nessa looks to the guards there and says, and that goes for you as well. The guards all kind of
taking a risk. I like it.
Nod and step back a bit and kind of move away from the chamber.
I don't know if I have it ready today, but we just have to keep the. Don't need much.
So what are you guys doing?
Sorry, I got an idea. Yeah.
But I know I'm not fool.
If you give me a day,
The feel of
Oh, to speak with her?
That's all I was.
just need a head.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought my friends
I
were
wasn't ready to do it immediately,
We
but
could take her head with us.
Oh, God.
Unfortunately, no. This
You can't do it right now.
this needs to be notified immediately to the rest of the dens, and the body needs to be produced. So if there's something you cannot do now, I'm afraid it cannot be done.
We could find information in a way that we were not just able to do. I think that we could speak to her. I have seen him do it.
Are you attempting to speak to the corpse?
Yes.
As her master, yes.
Then I cannot allow it. That is standard procedure after execution. And the body cannot be utilized in the same way again. If they attempt to make the body available for such a ritual, and it does not work, they will know that it has been done in advance,
Well,
which will lead them to me, which will lead them to you.
Can we just request to be in the room when they do it?
I think that may be stepping beyond the bounds of which your arrangement here is
that seems fair.
Situated. My apologies. I want to help as much as I can, but there are limitations.
You know, I think she did this intentionally. I think this was...
Well, yeah.
Well, I mean, all things considered, it's a clever way of making sure you can't ask any more questions.
She was also waiting for this opportunity.
What if she knows where the beacon is now?
Then we will find it from the body. But you can't be the ones to do it. There is protocol. And the last thing you need is anything like this to be traced back to me or you.
You've been more than generous.
You really have.
Very much so. Caleb wanders over to her corpse and kneels, and with his own bloody hand wipes her hair out of her eyes. I'm sorry. I think we are done here.
I think we are.
But maybe glean some information that we didn't have.
It's not a bad idea. I actually like Jester's idea of the gentleman. I mean, he is very well connected, and if they're trying to move, albeit discreetly, through the Empire.
And while I think that my good friend Beauregard was being somewhat facetious, it's not a bad point either. If there is any other arcane tricks of your kind that you think could help us in our search, know that I love my home. My home is out of control. I want to end a conflict. I know many here think that that is insanity. I do not. And everything that I am learning here, I mean for the good of both our people.
Make a persuasion check.
I touched Caleb on the shoulder.
Sneak it in there! There it is.
That's a D4?
Add a D4 to it.
That is crazy cocked.
Landed on your mouth.
22.
Good shit.
22. All right.
18 plus 4.
Okay.
Ooh, good 4. That's a good 4.
Gather your books.
They are on me at all times.
Good. Then to the den.
All of us?
Just
if you wish to watch, but I gather this might be a bit above your respective levels of understanding.
I have some shopping to do.
Well, now
personally.
I feel like it's just.
Now he's laying it on thick.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
No, we could gather some things while they're doing
Yeah,
this.
we'll prep. We've got our own notes and books we have to hit.
No, you
Perfect.
Don't. You don't
Yes,
have
I
any of
do.
those
Yes, I
things.
do. I punch your book. Fucking face. Sure.
We can go get some ivory, I guess. For you, Caducey.
A little ivory and a little incense would go a long way.
Okay.
All right.
I'm gonna go fucking watch it.
Okay.
You earned it. You earned a show.
The most
I'm
boring
gonna
show.
go make my popcorn in the kitchen, and I'm gonna go
watch some
sit
people
down and watch
study.
them do it.
Caramel
I'm gonna
corn.
watch people study for the SAT.
Yep, I'm gonna quit.
Fuck.
Were you referring to your den or ours?
Yours.
Okay.
What is it you wish to do? Do you wish utility in the manipulation of the world around you?
Well, always.
Okay. Perhaps. Do you enjoy the idea of drawing the potential from discarded timelines
is intriguing. How do you mean?
Let me show you. And he pulls out a book from beneath the cloak. I'm gonna text you 2 spells. I'm gonna text you 2 spells when we go on our break, which will be just, I guess, about now while we're doing this. Jesters, you're watching this inspection. The glyphs are being shown. The pages are brought one after the other, and the instruction comes to Caleb. The first spell in which Essek describes, there are ways which you can manipulate the gravity around specific objects to become a fixed point in space. Like, for instance, and he takes out a small, looks like a sack of some kind, and pulls out some gold dust in his hand and scatters it across one of the nearby chairs and takes it and lifts it up. He kind of does a small series of finger motions that creates this kind of slight spectral glyph. The sand, or the gold-like dust, pulls towards the glyph and then vanishes. And he releases the chair, and the chair remains fixed in space.
Tug on it a little bit.
Does not budge at all.
That is useful. Yes, I know. That is useful.
It's a meager trick, but it has many creative applications.
Can you do it to people?
No. Two non-magical objects of a smaller size, but I mean, give it a tug. You're pretty strong. See if you can move it.
Yes, Jester.
Okay.
Give it a tug.
I'll give it the hardest tug I can.
Make a strength.
Can I dangle from it?
Yes, you may dangle from it as you tug.
The tugging.
So make a
Can I
strength
give
check.
myself guidance? I'm a willing creature.
Sure.
That's dive bomb.
That was. Oh, that's not good. 12.
12 does not move at all. You actually lift your entire body up off of this chair that is just frozen in place there in the
This is
middle.
really awesome!
Climb up and sit on it.
Oh, yeah.
It's at an angle, but you can kind of do it if you
gonna
hold
hold
the
on
back
to the
of the
back
chair.
of the chair.
So yeah.
Is that comfortable?
I mean, it's pretty cool. It's worth it.
Lasts
I'm
for
kicking my
about-
feet. You can't see it, but my feet are kicking.
Lasts for about an hour until you wish it to stop. And he snaps, and the chair onto the ground with Jester.
Worth it.
So, hopefully this immovable object spell will be useful to you.
I can come up with a few applications for it, yes.
Here is something a little more interesting, and I will request that you be careful when using this in any public space outside of Rosanna.
Understood.
These are tricks that are pretty well guarded.
Are you putting yourself at risk by sharing these with me?
Maybe. But let that be an extension of my trust in you and your friends. I expect, hopefully, the same trust in return.
It is fairly established, I would like to think.
Good.
We have friends now.
I like that. Friends. So, time. When you move through it, from moment to moment, you make choices. Each choice guides the next path of where this timeline will go. But when you make that choice, so many potential timelines are left to decay. So much potential lost to redistribute into the universe. Why not put some of that unused potential to use? He procures a small piece of obsidian from inside and draws this quick across the air. And you watch this kind of line carve across, and where it does, it looks like shadow pours out of it, but the shadow forms legs and a cloak. And you see what looks to be a black, shadowy, spectral copy of Essek. These are referred to as echoes. They are potential selves left to fade in unrealized timelines. Some elements of Dunamancy have allowed us the ability to call them. After all, they are a piece of us. Why not make use of them before they are reabsorbed by time and space?
That is fascinating. I had some notion of this being in contact with your beacon. We had it for a while, and if you spent time with it, you sensed that very possibility.
Some of our elite warriors, known as Echo Knights, specifically focus on this technique. But us, as practitioners of arcane arts, it's a little more specific. For you see, this version here contains a facet of my magical capabilities. Can cast one spell, but when cast, it vanishes. And it can easily be destroyed as well. So, keep it safe.
An even weaker wizard than I am.
Don't tell it that. But anyway, come, I'll show you how to copy these down. And these spells become now available to you. The Resonant Echo spell and the Movable Object spell.
Hot dog.
Shit.
Can I practice them too? It's got this line right here, and then and
Make a deception check.
fuck me. The dice hate me tonight. I got a natural one.
You didn't guide yourself.
That just wasn't worth it.
As you're pointing out the tree, Essek slowly pulls the book away. I think we'll keep this between the learned individuals.
I'm learned in other ways.
Of course you are.
I
Do
could
not
probably
question
teach you some things, Essek. I bet I could.
I'm certain you might, but I am not particularly interested in what you have to teach. Nevertheless, he takes the book back and tucks it into the cloak. So, I will bid you goodbye. Remember, be careful. Echoes are definitely indicative of dynasty abilities. It would be very easy for someone within the Empire to question your allegiance should you be carrying one out in the open.
Why would they question my allegiance? With discretion, I understand perfectly.
Very well. Good luck.
Thanks.
And remember, should you find the location of such a beacon, time is of the essence. All right. Goodbye.
Hey, Essek, could you put the chair back in the air? It's just really cool up there.
Your friend Caleb is able to do that now. It is not inexpensive.
Oh, okay.
Do you have 25 gold to pass along?
Well, I mean, yeah, but I don't know if a chair in the air is worth that.
That is exactly what I mean. But maybe you can convince him. All right. He leaves you to your devices, but with 2 more facets of Dunamancy in your midst.
I couldn't,
Fucking time cop.
I couldn't understand what those glyphs actually meant. I didn't know if you thought that I did, but I did.
Caduceus, are you getting any sort of feeling from...
He hasn't, which Essek hasn't left yet. If you want to file a complaint or ask for something else to help, like he's about to jump through a teleportation circle.
Are you...
That feels rude, right? I'm the rude one, and I feel like that feels rude.
What, to ask him to do it again?
Yeah.
I would ask him to do it again. I wanted to be in the middle.
Hey, Essek!
He's like,
You got any more of those? Like, how many times can you do that?
I'm so sorry. I feel like we didn't communicate clearly when we pointed to the middle of the forest. That's where we wanted to go. Not here, there. Could we do that?
Biggest assholes.
he stands up straight from, he was slightly hunched position over the rock, finishing the final scribblings across its surface before he turns, holding his kind of iridescent blue chalk in his fingertips. He just spins and goes,
That stuff is expensive.
It's pretty.
Is it expensive?
It's very pricey.
Like, do you think like worth
I made
one
him laugh
horse
for a minute.
pricey
This
or
will be
more
fine.
than that?
He's gonna kill us.
He's gonna just
He totally
flip
could
us
kill us
off as
all.
he
I know.
jumps into
Gravity.
that circle. You want to grab him?
No, I said gravity. He's got gravity on his side.
Oh.
Oh no, I mean, we're just fine where we are.
I think what my companions are trying to request, we weren't clear enough, which is foolish of us because the stakes are so high right now. But we actually wish to go, Ford pointed out on the map.
Delicately.
And I walk forward to Essek and place my hand on his forearm and say that it's on me. I should have been a little more involved in the planning of this moment, and I apologize very much.
one of the two of you make a persuasion check with advantage, or you can each make one separately. It's up to you, because you are helping each other.
Ford and me?
Yes, since you are both the two that are trying to persuade him
I'm
on
gonna
it.
just pat Caleb on the back of his arm. Guidance.
People can see that.
Yeah, it's not like pat, it's saying a phrase and a gesture and doing it.
Traveler loves you so much.
Okay, so it's on me. Had advantage. Is that all right?
Is your persuasion
Pretty good. It's not as good as
mine?
Ford's
Then
is,
we should both
but
roll.
it's close. All right.
Let's both roll.
And what did
Natural
you
20.
give me? What did you
For a total of
26, 25.
Ooh, 22.
Well, a d4. You have to roll a d4.
It's gonna be 4. It was 4.
26 and a natural 20?
Amazing.
Oh, why can we always roll like this?
22.
The chalk descends back beneath the cloak. He looks at the two of you and looks crosswise to the group and goes, very well. Though this is expending the limits of my prominent abilities for the day. Come, gather. Are you going to do this or not?
Do you want to hang out with us until you can regain your spells and stuff?
Yeah.
You can. I mean,
There would be nothing I would love more than to not be around you all for the remainder of this day. So, let's try this again, shall we?
Okay.
All right.
I give his forearm just a little squeeze. And then let it go.
Okay, yeah.
He kind of like pulls it away, just like enough. Go ahead and roll a D100 for me.
Oh, boy.
oh god.
Oh, God.
You know, putting in the words. I mean,
Yeah, it was
what would he
encouraging to
give
hear
us?
he's working on it.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, in theory, it's possible that the Bright Queen heard all of that.
Yeah, but we didn't say anything to incriminate him. He certainly said anything against the Empire we can provide.
Yeah, and
which was,
he gave.
Also, he let us know our place in things over here. We are still being kept at a distance.
Seemed a little on edge to me.
And
Maybe he's been under watch
And
because
now
of the things that we've been doing.
And to be fair, now she'll know if he's not telling her any of the stuff that we tell him.
That is true.
it just makes our path forward even more clear. We go where there is no dynasty and empire. We go and we find the wizard, and we figure out what our next step is.
Yeah, unfortunately, I feel like the jury is still out on Essek.
I just realized I should have at least left the room for a moment and tried to isolate who or what it's.
I don't think, I mean...
Adine also confessed to secretly trading away these beacons. And
He must have been very high up in the hierarchy to have access to these things.
And why haven't we
He
heard of
was.
him before, if that's the case? How did we miss this guy?
there are many dens. You've only encountered but a few.
How long have you had him in custody for questioning?
2 days.
Any idea of... Hello. Any idea of accomplices?
We are working on that at the moment. He is currently imprisoned and is being held awaiting judgment from the Bright Queen. warfare in which the Queen is impatiently waiting for any sort of concrete proof as to why the ceasefire was necessary. We wanted to make sure that we presented it as an entire package as opposed to piecemeal. It is better, and also we need to cross our T's as well, in the instance that perhaps any of this information is incorrect.
You've done very, very well by us. Would you care to hear what we would have to say now so it doesn't catch you by surprise?
Please.
We can confirm that the Empire does indeed have one of these beacons. We've seen it.
Whereabouts is it located?
North of Rexentrum.
Outside of the city.
We don't know the exact location. They kind of teleported us there.
Right. Is it a place that can be accessed, perhaps? Maybe via Purple Worm?
Yes, but you may not need to. They've agreed to give it back.
In exchange for what?
Peace talks?
A meeting.
Supposedly to perhaps ease tensions between the two nations. And we are as skeptical as you seem to be now. But it still seemed like an opportunity.
Indeed. Curious what it is they want, or what it is we're not seeing here, but if it stems the spilling of blood for the time being, it should at least be entertained. Hopefully.
We have suggested to them a neutral location, neither here nor there, just so that no one would unduly have the upper hand. We are cautious, though, and are loath to bring any danger here. It seems like a difficult path still, but we would like you and the Queen to entertain the idea of easing tensions here. I know how hardline she seems to be, and it is not unfounded. We understand.
She has seen a lot of bloodshed in her years, and I understand where she's coming from. But I think it's worth a conversation. Mind you, for such a negotiation, there would be no personal appearance by her. There would have to be proxies and emissaries and probably speak via mirror or some sort of distance conversational point at the place. At least these negotiations have agreed upon these.
We bow, we leave.
You guys make your exit from the chamber back into the center of the Lucid Bastion. Once you pass by the antechamber doors closing behind, even Essek's like, whew.
Oh my gosh.
That went really well.
That actually went really well.
Like, even by the standard, I mean, like, I know that we set the bar like a very.
Really, really
I know I
low.
don't like saying it that often, but like, wow.
We normally fuck things up pretty good.
For like a normal bar, that was pretty good.
Thank you, Caduceus.
Yeah.
I had a good feeling about you in this one. I didn't want to say it ahead of time in case I was wrong. But I kind of had a feeling that you would be the one to push us over the edge.
But, and Essek Sternatop says, but let us all take a moment to appreciate the contributions of everyone brave enough in that room to step up before that council and speak. I myself am still impressed of what you managed to push forward. Well.
Thank you as well.
Say
we would not have had as much sway here without your resistance.
Of course not. And strangely, neither would I. So, do you need a lift back to your,
I'm gonna go get the booze!
A lift?
Summoning Frumpkin.
to the Empire?
Caleb, we can do that. We're actually okay. Before we hear this delightful
sorry, I just
music, which
assumed
I'm sure is going to be
all right,
amazing. Essek seemed okay with you today, right?
I don't know.
Are you guys hugging as you're having this
We're in
conversation?
private and we're spooning.
Or like,
It's been a while since we've seen Essek, and so I don't know.
yeah.
It just seemed a little funky back there.
I Yeah, maybe I could have whiffed that as well, but I don't know what is bringing it about. We owe him favors.
We owe him everything.
And he has not asked. Worth it, though.
What do you think? I'm a little bit worried.
Tell me.
Something in the way he was behaving when we were at that prison was funny to me. Do you think it would be a terrible idea? Because many of my ideas are. If I asked Jester to scry on that prisoner?
Well, the prison is pretty well guarded from that sort of thing. And if it weren't, I would agree with you. I want to be wrong so badly. I think I'm just still paranoid, but I have not let my guard down entirely for him. But maybe we are assholes, so.
That is true.
Multitude of dens. Shall we sit?
Yeah. Come and have a seat on this couch. So we have couches.
Yeah, Ottomans.
It's just Shay's lounges.
Just everywhere.
So uncomfortable.
Painting couch.
I'm not imposing, am I?
No, we were just playing a concert for our.
I was wondering what that sound was.
That was us.
It carries quite a distance.
Oh, yeah?
Yes.
Good.
It's how we focus. After a huge meeting, we play and join our thoughts as one.
An unfamiliar custom, but...
It grows on you.
Hey, it is not unlike some things I've seen in Asarius.
Frumpkin jumps into his lap.
Oh. Hello.
So, what is the mood here in the dynasty here?
Right now it is tension. A little bit of frustration in the halting of what was to be a very successful raid on Rexentrum. Tense, that's primarily it. This is so far removed from the front lines. It's mostly just information disseminated via word of mouth and the occasional street speaker, but warfare makes for not entirely pleasant opinions of the opposing side.
The tension in the throne room was fairly easy to read. I wonder what the various dens think the people here.
That varies from den to den. There are numerous, so it depends on which opinion you want.
What about Den Thalis?
Den Thalis, they would like very much to see our nation established and respected in the broader sense of the world. Unfortunately, our most neighboring nation tends to consider most everything to the east savage landscapes and dangerous cutthroats and drow killers and everything else. So
that is foolish. That has not been our experience here.
But there are people on our end and many folks who assume that the Empire is nothing but a bunch of money-crazed, murderous villagers ready to kill each other for a scrap of meat.
Yeah, that's very true. That's how everyone is there. Lots of...
Really?
Jester, that's...
I care little for politics, to be honest. But it seems you did as well. But circumstances thrust us into spaces where we least expect.
What do you care for? What are, your hobbies and things that you like to do?
Pet peeves.
Allergies.
Hopefully none of this. A cheese and vegetable plate comes out.
There is a an expectation of advancement within the faith to be consecuted. I really do not care for the specific theology behind it, but I was lucky enough and privileged enough to be born within a den to where it was not questioned. But
so it's reserved for people within certain families.
Well, it's expanded into those that aren't part of the dens, but they don't just consecute anyone who steps into the dynasty and requests it.
And you are, forgive me, on your first life?
Yes, I'm nearly the youngest of my den.
Forgive me if this is presumptuous. How old are you?
It would be close to 120 years.
Same for all of us. Just as...
Authority.
It's like not knowing how deep the ocean is.
Indeed.
Do you know how deep the ocean is?
It's pretty fucking deep.
Yeah.
And that is what I spend my time toiling away, is to find those depths. And there is so much untapped possibility in the utilization of Dunmis. To answer your question of what it is I want to do, and I believe you can understand this, and I can see a similar spark in you, Caleb. I want to unlock these mysteries. I want to dive as deep as I can into that ocean of the unknown and see what is possible.
Are you saying you want to date Ford?
I don't think that's what he's saying.
That isn't what I was saying.
I'm sorry, I was distracted by there's cookies.
Yeah, and also the ocean talk.
Yeah, the ocean, dive deep into the ocean.
It's a metaphor.
Rip that open real fast.
Rip it.
Go for it. Rip it.
I believe in you.
Get it.
Ooh,
Turns back to Caleb and says, to pursue beyond the limits of what you're told is capable. To seek the impossible. To do what every archmage before us has failed to do.
Anything is impossible. You just have to look long enough and hard enough.
Indeed.
The things we've seen.
You don't strike me as having much of an appetite for war.
No. I have an appetite for knowledge.
Yeah, go back to the ocean metaphor, because it's kind of working.
Thank you.
You could also get crushed into oblivion by several tons of weight at the bottom of the ocean, or, consumed by some other scary being like Kukatoa. Are you not remotely humbled or afraid of some of the unknowns you might find?
I am as afraid as anybody is facing into the unknown. But that's what makes it worthwhile, is it not?
High risk, high reward.
Indeed. But you can mitigate the risk.
That's actually an interesting train of thought.
How can we mitigate the risk? Hey, Essek.
Yes.
How come all of a sudden you want to talk to us like we're friends? Not that I mind, because I'm really happy that you're here, but did we do something cool or something that you like us all of a sudden?
He takes his wine, takes a big sip.
Don't need a tea cracker. Cookie thing.
Oh god, they're so good.
Just frisbee that bitch.
Would you like a frisbee cookie?
I'm all right,
Essek?
thank you.
Okay.
I'll frisbee that cookie.
You want to toss one? Okay.
Toss my cookies.
The dynasty... I've lived here my entire life. And while there are benefits and there are places that are much more challenging to live in, I find it frustrating at times. I find that the obsession with this Luxon entity belies what the truth may be, that these artifacts, I theorize, have nothing to do with a divine being, but are just perhaps artifacts designed in the Age of Arcanum that have been misread. In which case it is being misused, or at least only the surface has been scratched of what's possible. So, my interests leave me not trusting anyone, not feeling like I in some ways belong. And as such, I spend a lot of my time in solitude.
Why trust us with your interests?
Because I'm thankful to have met you. I don't have much in the way of friends, due to the expectations placed upon me, and you are driven, you are adaptable, you're clever, and not shackled by blind devotion to one flawed society or another. I think you all have what it takes to survive in this cold, cruel world. Yes, it's something I pride myself on. And I don't know, I haven't felt a kinship with anyone in a long time.
Is this friendship safe for you here?
Nothing I do is safe.
Fuck, I like him.
Do you want to go get in the hot tub?
And he goes and takes some of the food off the plate. And this is very good.
And you forgive me, on your first life.
Yes, I'm nearly the youngest of my den.
Forgive me if this is presumptuous. How old are you?
It would be close to 120 years.
Same for all of us. Just as.
Do you have to be consecuted every...
The beacons.
And do you care more about stopping this war than serving your queen?
The dynasty is where I live. The dynasty has many great things it does and provides. I don't necessarily believe with this theological focus to the point where it continues a cycle of warfare and bloodshed.
War is a cycle and an addiction.
Of course, I've seen it happen many times, and it will continue to happen.
Little to do with its people.
Well, does the dynasty have us bugged in this house?
It would not surprise me if they've at times chimed in. You have been under watch here and there since you've arrived, as you were a challenging addition to
Were
the
you one of the ones
proximity.
watching us? Did you ever watch us?
To be specific, we've seen ourselves being watched. We were hoping it was you.
At times it was.
Hey.
Oh my gosh, did you see us when we were changing clothes? Were you watching us when we were naked?
Jess was naked a lot.
No. But it was part of my assignment when you first came under my wing to ensure that there wasn't any chances of undue Empire business finding its way within the proximity of the Bastion.
Makes sense.
If you chimed in when we were changing, would you have kept watching or would you have checked out?
I am more respectful than that and have no interest in such things. Why?
Is there one of us that you would have watched longer?
Great question. And which one? You can be open here.
Yeah.
So.
How much is the
wine.
This additional beacon, where is it now?
We'll tell you if you tell us which one of us is the hottest.
She doesn't.
Zone of truth.
Oh my gosh, you guys, do you want to play 7 minutes in the Zone of Truth?
7 minutes.
Epic fantasy, heroic personalities, fighting against the dangers of the world to rise the ranks of power and glory too.
Who do you like?
Find out who wants to make out with somebody else. This is Dungeons and Dragons.
Don't kid yourself, that's why we're here.
Yeah, we don't know where it is. We just
Well, we know where it came from.
I can tell you it's the one they plan to give back, which I find deeply problematic and have since they poised that plan. Because I'm assuming as soon as the Bright Queen takes one look at it.
Yeah, it's not like a dead goldfish where you can just like swap out another one and be like, here's a goldfish. Like she'll know that it's not the same goldfish.
Will she?
Well, it depends if they're handing over this new one they found or if they're returning the one that was taken and then plan to keep this new one for themselves.
I mean, there's no way to really know which one is which.
What you're saying, though, is any one of them, even this one that has been found, dug up within the Empire's reaches, would be considered the property of the dynasty.
By their divine right to own these artifacts that extend their ability to maintain the cycle of life, yes.
What if these things are like all over the world, though?
I believe they are. That is the assumption.
And you're telling us you would prefer to keep this a secret in this room?
I am advising based on your proclivity to not continue this conflict and the lengths of which you've gone to prevent this war from spreading further and further, putting yourselves in harm's way to do so. That if that is what you continually wish to do, to not notify the Bright Queen or any other members of the council around her of this.
You know about these things. What could they do with it to abuse its powers?
Well, they have some powerful minds in the Assembly. Well, they are somewhat dubious. So does anyone of true intelligence and capability. A few necessary choices are moral choices, and in my experience, I'd trust they would have similar interests of seeing what it's capable of. Perhaps they can be reasoned with, and perhaps... I would think on this.
I think there may be secrets within secrets.
Well, there's definitely secrets within secrets. It's just a matter of who knows.
Just like here.
Too many people not lying, too many people telling the truth, then all the truths conflict.
Do you have a relationship with the Assembly?
Some of them.
Somewhat. Our sense is, and I'm sure that you all have guessed this yourselves, but the Assembly has its plans separate from the King.
I would assume. Well, if they have it, at this moment I cannot see a path to its retrieval, nor any true benefit in attempting to blow things up, if you will.
Man, I am so glad I talked to you about this first.
That would have been super bad if you had just like brought that up. Woof.
Yeah.
I'm really proud of you, actually. That was really good. That was another good move.
There has to be something about this new beacon, right? There has to be a reason why they are even offering it up. It has to be different from the first one.
As long as we have been so forthright with you already, we are very skeptical of the intentions of the Assembly in this meeting. We are expecting fuckery.
As you should. As you should.
We would like to pull the rug out from under them. Not to topple the Empire, but maybe to clear the rot a bit from our nation.
And you believe that the individuals that make the laws and employ them across your empire are more capable than these mages? Do you not think there is perhaps a necessary balance between the two that maintains the order?
No.
It's the dance the Cobalt Soul and the Cerberus Assembly have been in for hundreds of years now at this point.
Understand. The Assembly and individuals of which I know some of seem to be dangerous and calculating. But anyone of such extended study and pursuits I can understand far better and see eye to eye with than I can a power-hungry monarch who came into their seat through bloodline.
I get the sense that they feel they have found the upper hand somehow.
Well,
I want to see the conflict end, and I do not get that sense from them.
What is the biggest danger to secret research?
People finding out what you're researching or what you're...
Discovery. what better way to avoid discovery than to find a way to stop a conflict that pries into what you're doing?
Repackaging.
Hypothetically, if we had one of these potions that they had derived from the beacon, what would you do with it?
I would study it top to bottom.
What could it tell you?
I have no idea. That would be the purpose of researching it. Why, do you have one such thing?
I mean...
Let's call this one favor. Whoa. Taken care of.
Fucking dropping things.
That
every time.
would be a favor accepted.
Oh, he didn't accept your secret.
Do you release it? Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Secrets are very valuable.
We're giving them up like candy here.
All you gotta do is be nice to us. We don't have enough people being nice to us.
I have plenty of people being nice to me.
And the SWAT team bursts in through the windows. We go to jail.
He just sets it aside on the table. I can commiserate with that. Honestly, part of the reason I accepted your invitation was after thinking and realizing that perhaps it's been a while since somebody's extended such niceties to myself. There are elements to a solitary life that sometimes can be more challenging once you have a basis of comparison.
The whole returning favor thing is kind of a bit in jest. In all honesty, we do deeply appreciate all the things that you've done for us over these past several months.
Yeah, if you ever feel like ditching out here and traveling with us, just let us know, you know?
Yeah, but no, she's not joking. I mean, you know, you said an important part of what you do is staying alone, and I think we all thought that too before we met each other.
It's true.
Literally.
Very lonely, all of us.
Well, if I can be of help in some way, perhaps with your predicament as you were requesting, let me know.
When I saw her.
You, Caleb.
Was she ugly? Was she pretty?
I mean, not as pretty as you, but she's pretty.
Your specialty in the arcane lies in the realm of transmutation, yes?
Primarily. Although similar to you, I'm an avid reader. I'm very curious about everything. Everything.
He's been studying something to help me lately. Working on equations.
Yeah. We've been noodling about with something.
Perhaps I can offer some aid.
We would be willing to accept that. I think we have a full plate for the next couple of days, but hopefully it will be wrapped up
Just show
safely.
him now. Just show him now.
He's a little drunk. He might not be able to.
Oh, all right.
When we could get into the hot tub and sort of look through the pages.
That makes really drunk worse, actually. Yeah.
Getting in the hot tub?
Let's do it.
I'm game.
You seriously have a hot tub?
We really, really do. We need it. Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's really great.
It's kind of just
will like it.
like a bricked-in hole in the ground, and we heat it like with our magic. It's
He just
Or
follows
with
stuff his
fires.
drink.
I'm certainly curious. Anyway, he goes ahead and replaces his mantle and turns at the front door and says, "This was nice. Thank you."
Thank you. That was really fun.
Could you, could we walk? Could you show me where you live so we know where to go?
Sure, come with.
Yeah.
I'm coming too.
All right.
Yep. I'm going to stay here.
Yeah, let them
and
go.
watch from the window.
Too weird.
He leads you outside, and as he steps off of the threshold of the front door, you watch him kind of lift back up into his general hovering persona, shoulders held aloft. He guides you through the neighborhood, kind of the path you would take from the bastion that curves into the neighborhood to where your house is. It's past that circle, and then it leads deeper into an area that would be kind of the equivalent of a Rosona gated community, I guess. There are guards there. There are folks that are, guarding an estate, and there is. It's as opposed to a singular. You're used to like the candles, these large, elaborate, wizard towers. His estate is 3 towers that are shorter, but they're all connected by walkways and they're different heights. And atop the
Fun house.
On top of the tallest one, you can see there, what looks at first like a weather vane. Instead, you can see is a contraption that seems to have a series of metallic rings inside that all kind of are smaller and smaller and smaller within, that slowly will like rotate on its own in a way that you don't understand its purpose or really what it does, but it's unique and it's engineered to be strangely pretty. You can see the brick exterior of it kind of falls. It looks gray, but what little bit of light there is as you walk past, you can see now there's a slight kind of iridescent almost quality to the exterior of the bricks that are laid at the base of the towers. And he just kind of points to it and goes, "This is where you can find me most of the time."
This is
ever
fascinating. Is this to do with the turning of the heavens, or?
This has to do more with the adjusting of the... How do I put it? There are almost ley lines of energy that themselves span like a net across all of Exandria. And these ley lines sometimes shift and swell and expand and reduce based on the seasons, based on the time of year, based on celestial gatherings and alignments. This is part of a device that just keeps track of it.
Where is it? Well, now we know where you live. I would like to take you up on your offer to examine that thing that Nott and I are working on. I have a number of things, including some souvenirs from inside the Happy Fun Ball we told you about.
I'm very curious about that.
So am I. And I think you and I share interests. I understand the pressure of being young and expectation. I'm not 120 years old, but I feel like I understand a little bit.
I've seen those far older than you that have experienced maybe half the pain I see in your eyes. Age isn't everything. Experience is what hardens you, prepares you for the worst. I think you're prepared for more than you give yourself credit for, Caleb.
Well, we come back later and compare notes.
I'll be here. Perhaps I can provide breakfast as a thank you.
Dope.
I'm just thinking about mimosas from your house right now.
Have that green jam.
It's really good.
Well, good night.
Glad you got home safe.
Thank you for the escort.
Yeah. So
And he just drifts off to the gate opens on its own. And he heads up to the interior.
how weird that that's like the thing you just get stuck with, like floating, like people who like put on an accent for like half of a year and then how are you gonna get yourself out of it?
Or a name, or
Yeah.
earning things.
Mm-hmm. Basically, like half of our group has like something like that, but his is floating, and he's just committed to floating.
Commit to the bit. Oh God.
But like, why? Like, does he feel like he's gonna have shame? Does he feel like ashamed if he doesn't float? It's just so fascinating.
It's one of many things that are fascinating about him, yeah? But at least we know there are feet under there and a full adult-sized body, not a tiny baby. So stupid. Let's go back.
All right.
Okay. Is that cool, everybody? Okay, Beauregard and Caleb will lead the group over to Essex Towers.
Bantling straight to the lagoon.
All right.
Okay.
You pack up your materials and make your way across the neighborhood to the outside of Essex property. For most of you, aside from the two of you, this is your first time seeing it, and it's in its unique splendor presented before you. You kind of come to the front gate. The gate is closed.
Should we
I'll send him a message. Yeah, I'll send him a message. Hey, Essek, we're out front of your house. We're just wondering if you want to have breakfast with us in your house and also take us somewhere.
I just start waving towards the house.
That doesn't go through on the message.
He might. But when he peeks out,
it comes back.
you know.
I was wondering whether or not you were going to stop by today. And there's a brief pause, and you see on one of the walkways from one of the towers, you see a figure kind of step out and look over.
See?
Kind of gives a nod and then continues into the next tower, and then eventually emerges from below. And Essek approaches, waves a hand, and the gate opens and lets you guys in.
Yay!
Come. Allow me to. Oh, it is all right. I do have some food prepared as a return favor for the delicious dinner. Thank you, Caduceus. This way, please.
Yay!
Leads you into this, what appears to be like a foyer-ish type chamber with, nice kind of furniture curved on the edges of it. The smell, when you come inside, is very kind of strangely herbal. Like it has a very kind of earthy, herbal smell to the air there, with a bit of, one thing I describe as like a hint of electrical fire, like something like that sort of smell. But there are these beautiful, almost glass-like stairs that emerge from the wall that don't have like a hard set connecting between them. They're just kind of free-floating, it seems, outside of the stone wall. And they're just like translucent steps that lead up the spiral of the tower you're in.
Ultra modern, is good to say.
Yeah.
Allow me to take care of this for you. And he kind of waves his hand for a second. You watch as the chairs and the furniture kind of scoots from the edges into the center, forming like a little seating area. Table scoots in.
Caleb, you should learn to do that. That's really impressive.
I can do an approximation of it, but it's a little more herky-jerky than that.
Big cat paw like pushes it
that's
over.
True, yeah.
Eventually kind of brings some food and sits you all down. How do I do this? How was your day?
Really great so far. We did some shopping, some errands.
Yeah.
We're going on a trip.
We've arranged, we've received word of some of the details of this meeting. It's
They found vents.
That is good news. It appears now both sides have a cultist of some esteem in our midst. That bodes well for the negotiation.
Should I just tell you? They said the negotiation's good to go. Everyone's getting ready.
4 weeks.
4 weeks.
They've probably notified at least someone in the council, but I will pass this on as well. 4 weeks. Very well. Did you bring that project you were working on?
I have it with me all the time, yeah. Do you want to eat first and then
yes,
maybe...
let's eat, or you could eat and we can take a look at it.
How was your day?
Fine. I've been here.
Yeah. Do you go out like during the day? Do you go shopping and stuff?
When necessary.
Do you float in your house or do you walk in your house? Does he float in his house?
He's currently floating, and as soon as you see that, he goes...
You don't have to float around us, man. It's cool.
It's a habit. It's like the grandma gives you vanilla wafers, and you're like,
Right here over.
Yeah, show him the book.
All right, so Caleb starts to move food and drink out of the way because he doesn't want to harm any of the notes.
Come to my laboratory. It would be easier.
Oh.
Should we all go?
No.
Just them?
No, just me.
Yeah, just feed your ferret they'll crackers or whatever.
All right, eat for a second. Not.
Of course.
Yeah.
He leads you up the stairs, kind of gliding for the first few steps, and then kind of stops and then starts actually taking steps. You can see there's a bit of a disjointed aspect to it. You see him trying to kind of change his instinctual behavior around you.
I bet Essek gets like really tired when he's walking upstairs now because he's not used to doing it. So like when he's forced to do it, it's like he doesn't want to act winded, but he's like probably really out of breath by the time he sits up.
Yeah. You head up to a secondary floor. This one has a window that overlooks kind of that part of the neighborhood. There are a number of shelves of books. There are some small glass cases that contain, what looks to be keepsakes or objects that are just out of view. He leads you to one of two doors that opens up into one of those pathways that connects towers and leads you to the tallest tower. And from there you go into a kind of a mid-chamber of this next structure. Within here, the smell itself is almost saccharine sweet, but has a very chemical smell to it. You recognize it as an alchemist. There are a lot of elements here that remind you of very sweet but caustic chemicals that are used in the creation of potions, that are used in the creation of compounds that can break down metals and other such things. It's a mixture here. Some alchemy or elements close to it are done in here. But it leads you up another set of stairs to a tall chamber beneath where you imagine that strange moving kind of spherical series of rings were on the top. As you head into this final room, the entire chamber itself has these deep grooves dug into stone across from edge to edge, and you immediately recognize it. It is, I mean, it's hundreds and hundreds of lines. It looks like someone has just dug every possible line path connecting element here, and for certain magicians or sorcerers, practitioners of magic, this is essentially a bunch of preset grooves that most basic and advanced runic circles can be drawn within here with whatever materials very quickly.
This is beautiful.
All the candles immediately light as you kind of all step inside.
We all there? Or just
Just the two of them.
I can't help it. I will always love the architecture of a tower.
We stick with them for a reason, it seems, as hackneyed as it may be. Come, set it down. And he kind of like...
Closer to the heavens. I start laying stuff out. So, this is what we acquired. This is very old. These are unfinished, but much to be gleaned. And I've done my best with them. And I lay out all of Hollis's stuff.
Okay.
And then here
he takes his mantle off and sets it aside and kind of comes over to join you as you guys start laying it out. And you see him, he's listening to you with one ear, and the rest of his mind is kind of in the process of taking in the extent of what you've already drawn and connected.
And Caleb recognizes that and says, okay, so while you're taking that in, Not, help me roll this out. And here is what Not and I have been working on. This is my approximation. I've tried to fill in some of the blanks, and this particular knot was hard to unravel, but we did. And I know that I'm close, but I am sure I am missing something.
Yeah, but he's got that look in his eye. He's close.
I can see that look. All right, I have some ideas. And he walks over to his shelf and starts like plumbing through different compounds and pulling out elements and taking out some additional books under his arm, and basically gets down on the floor with the two of you and begins attempting to continue this. You guys are having your cheeses and
Okay, cool.
Are we doing Dr.
Cool.
I love
Intelligence or Arcana, did you say?
Arcana.
28! Yes!
Whoa!
Showing off in front of Essek.
Big wizard energy.
The three of you begin to sync, and like kind of one person will posit a question where they're kind of at a point in the equation and the next finishes it. They make eye contact and smile, grab something, finish that line, grab this piece of paper, toss it to you, this equation finishes, and rapidly the three of you become kind of fervid researchers on the cusp of a breakthrough. By the close of the hour, the moment hits where the equation connects. The spell is complete. Essek kind of stands up and goes like, I don't know what to say. This is very impressive.
You are amazing. This does not happen very often. This is history pulled from history. Thank you.
Well, you have done most of the legwork yourselves.
Thank you both for this. Can we do it?
What are the features of this? Time.
You
needed requirements and components.
The component for this requires about 50 pounds of raw clay, which the spell consumes, as well as about 100 gold worth of ground gem dust. Doesn't matter the gem.
Okay.
And it takes about an hour to cast the spell.
What does it do?
I'll give you the specifics, but the overall essence of the spell, as you look over the final equation, is if done properly, it is a permanent alteration of the target's body from one known humanoid race to another.
Well. We need clay. I don't have any.
I don't have any.
No, you don't have that much clay, do you?
I have a yard.
I've got a shovel.
You're not there.
Oh shit, never mind. We're so into it.
A yard, he said?
That's clay is just
dirt.
A special kind.
Do you... Caleb just pulls the goblin and the elf in for just a huge hug and then pulls us all out again. Do you want to do this now or do you want to think about it?
Maybe I'll just give it a day or an hour or a day.
Whatever you need.
This is amazing. Thank you so much. Maybe I'll just give it a day, though. Just to figure out. Yeah, just a day. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
We can do this tomorrow.
Just deliberate on it.
Yeah.
You know, the others are probably wondering,
Yes, it has been some time. My apologies.
They're probably having like a threesome.
What do you mean?
I got the books. No, I'm just kidding.
Run!
You
But,
think Essek and Caleb?
Or what?
I mean, they could just be, having a real good time up there.
I assume they are having a really good time up there.
So you probably think they're having a threesome?
Well, I don't.
Maybe they're
I'm gonna go take a look at the kitchen. Let's see what we got.
they work well together. We should explore other things. Other things.
I have some ideas. And our favor is old still. Anyway, let's get back to the rest of your
Yes, they're probably fucking down there or something.
Probably having a fivesome.
Gather up the notes, the finalization of the spell, hands it to you, and you guys return. You hear the door upstairs. You go towards where you think the kitchen might be, and the door's locked.
Well, this is half the problem right here. Guys.
Fucking doors.
You hear the familiar footsteps of Caleb and Not.
Caleb has Not, like backpack style, with a real spring in his step coming down the stairs.
Hey!
Sorry to keep
Did you guys have so much fun?
We did. It's a lovely lab.
Do you feel relaxed and carefree?
Energized.
Really?
Yeah. He is intelligent.
Yeah.
He knows his way around.
And he can float. Just saying.
He's right over there.
You seem
Oh,
like,
hi.
He's heading down after the two of them.
seem like you're in a very good mood.
I mean, knowledge can do that to you, right?
Everything go okay? Everything work out?
Right.
Where are we at?
I've learned things that I did not know even an hour ago.
Well, I appreciate all of that mostly. But quite a discovery made by these two.
What discovery?
We may have a way to fix me. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that?
Excited.
Yeah?
The permanent fix you've been looking for this whole time.
So it seems, yeah.
Back to your original form?
Uh-huh.
Essek, that's incredible.
Don't look at me. I was merely a final catalyst. This is work they had already continued from.
Well, it's mostly Caleb.
You are both downplaying your contribution.
Well, if we're going to be honest, the biggest contribution here is a mage long before our time.
Oh, alas.
True. Standing on the shoulders of giants. Indeed.
He kind of gestures for you to make your exit. As you're about to leave, Caleb kind of like grabs your shoulder for a minute. It's like, if it's all possible, because I helped author the completion of this, would I be able to make a copy of this spell for my own records?
Of course. I would not have been able to do it without you.
Wonderful.
This is your spell as well as mine.
Thank you.
And the Archmage's. All right.
You all talk so closely when you speak to one another.
We didn't want to upset you. I know how you get when it flares like that. So let's get you home. I start to walk the
We don't need to tell Essek we're leaving. We don't need to do anything. We're just
I'm gonna tell Essek we're leaving.
Yeah, the last thing I said to him is that we would see him soon. So.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna send Essek a message.
All right.
Hey Essek, we're going to find that evil laughing lady, so that means we'll be back, I don't know when. We'll be at the negotiations though, don't worry. Breakfast was fun.
He got most of that.
Okay.
He responds. Very well. I have my own business to attend to as well. So good luck, and I'm sure we'll cross paths again very soon.
He says he loves you so much, Caleb, and he promised us. And
You did?
yeah, he was like, Caleb is a little
Yeah, inside check, yeah.
That was great.
That is a 23.
Oh.
Make a deception check, Jester.
Roll for his roll. Boom.
No! 7.
You can hear the various jungle birds and wildlife giving off loud caws and crows and distant insects chirping. It's a wild, tangled space. Essek goes, well, that is not for me. Thank you, Jester, and good luck. And kind of like glides over and lands down to this patch of sand and begins to take his finger and carve out what looks to be a teleportation circle.
Thank you, friend.
Thank you.
Of course. Continues his work.
So blue.
Just take it all in. What's he saying? Can he hear anything?
Okay, so as you...
Don't forget that
Okay,
I
so...
cannot hear anything, so if you try to talk to me, I can't hear you.
This will be interesting.
Fuck.
Focusing through Frumpkin's eyes, you look into the interior of this darkened gun deck of the ship. There are 2 cannons within there, as opposed. It looks like it was built from multiple cannons, but there's only 2 in there. A very beautiful make. And immediately, just at a glance, you can see these are not standard cannonball-based cannons. These are arcane in nature, and who knows what they're capable of when fired. It is very dark, and you watch 2 figures kind of waltz in with haste. You hear one voice, Ludinus, say, I couldn't help but gauge your discomfort with the conversation. And the other figure goes, well, I just wasn't expecting to see them. And Ludinus goes, shh, hold on. Does some hand motions, and as he releases what looks to be a simple spell, there's this faint shockwave that dissipates within a radius of them. Uncertain what it does, though you gather in the moment that it's probably some sort of a radial dispel to lock down or destroy any localized magic. However, the illusion around Lord Desrin Thane vanishes. And there standing in his place is a gently floating male drow with short hair.
No. He's a traitor? He's such a fool.
So blue, so beautiful. Look at it, the waves are so beautiful.
To which the revealed Essek responds.
course I am uncomfortable with this. I did not know they were going to be coming directly here. And you can see, like, there's conflict in his eyes. And Ludness goes, I understand. But it's extremely important how we enforce and oversee the control and the exchange of the prisoners and the delivery of the beacon. Essek kind of thinks for a second. I agree. Ludness goes, we each have what we want. And when this business is behind us, we need not interact ever again. The Assembly will share its research for the deal and beyond, and we never have to speak. And Essek sits and thinks for a second and goes, I look forward to never seeing your face again. But we're too far in at this point. It's taken a lot of effort to ensure the tracks have been covered. And no one undeserving was hurt. But I want no further part in this once this is done. Ludness kind of steps forward and goes, I'm surprised to see such affection from such a previously cold individual. And Essek kind of turns his glance away and goes, well, I'm surprised myself. Maybe you should try friends sometime.
Caleb starts putting his necklace back under his shirt.
What do you hear? What do you see?
Desron Thane, he's actually our good friend, Essek Thales.
What do you mean, is?
He's working for,
It is a disguise.
But he was walking.
Are you sure?
I elaborate and recount everything that...
Holy shit!
I mean, it oddly makes a lot of sense.
Did he? Oh.
When you look back at everything.
He's
And he said we were friends.
Hard to read. Hard to read.
But to what end? What is he trying to gain out of this?
Research was mentioned. I don't entirely understand the context.
You mentioned an exchange. It sounded like the beacon for, did you say prisoners?
Yeah.
Well, we know there's a prisoner exchange.
Yeah.
That was part of the deal always.
Sure.
But it seems like the beacon is either not what it appears to be, or it's going into Essek's hand instead of the hands of the Queen.
No, but Essek is probably the one that delivered it. He's the guy that leaked the beacons in the first place.
Now, all the bells are ringing. Every fear we have seems to be coming true. This is some sort of ploy.
Well, we just need to ask him. I mean, why not? You know, he really likes us. He could probably tell us the truth once we know.
This is going to be a very weird party.
Caleb, how do you feel?
I feel like a fool.
Why? Because he didn't loop us in?
No, I worried about him for ages, thinking that he was perhaps the mole we were worried about, and when I finally did away with that fear, I had it confirmed. He seemed somewhat conflicted, but not enough to slow his pursuit. Maybe sense could be talked to him, but I worry that if we confront him, we'll stop whatever they're doing.
Oh my god, you know what we could do? I have the perfect plan. He did say we were friends.
If his intentions are good, then why is he hiding it?
It's possible he is playing your home country.
It's also possible, you know, that he thinks we're kind of fuck-ups, and we might ruin his plan if we knew about it.
I just worry if we confront him or take him out of the picture, all of this deal will fall on its face.
No, we have to let him.
And intentions and actions are rarely connected. They're distant cousins. I mean, it's true. Think about everybody here. This is a whole group of people with... I mean, I'll just say it. We have some issues.
All right, so everybody but you two stay behind. All righty.
What are we doing here? This is not exactly the plan that we talked about.
I don't know.
What did you do to him?
I didn't do anything. I was just talking to him.
Hi.
Oh, hi.
He can hear us.
I know. It's just Lord Dave all of a sudden turned.
That's very
This
weird.
gentleman has had some sort of a seizure of some sort.
Oh, God.
We should do our best to...
Should I cast, like, Greater Restoration on him or
maybe,
something?
but let's try some other things first.
As you guys are dragging him out of the party, his body...
Why is he floating?
The muscles now come loose once more as the paralysis...
Are you okay? Oh my gosh, you had me so worried.
I have to go.
Well,
Kind of
hold on a
pulls his
minute.
arm.
I don't think so. Click. I put the manacles of stasis on his wrists. 6th level.
As Lord Desrin's just kind of standing there going,
You really do want to talk to us. I think it's very important. You do.
A lot at stake here.
A lot.
Fine then, show me where.
Let's find a place to talk that's quiet.
The rest of you, as you carefully escort Lord Desren Thane across the Restless Wharf, eventually across the gangplank to the deck and below the deck of the Ball Eater, you find your way to a comfortable space away from prying eyes. And as the figure, shoulders slumped, turns around, the illusion fades.
Yasha, please guard the door.
Oh my gosh, it's Essek, but what?
It's like I said, never trust floaty hot boys.
What are you doing?
Yes, friend, what are you doing?
I'm sorry. You all weren't part of the plan.
Well, you know, we have a limited amount of time, and I would love for you to see the sunrise, so... If there is a reasonable explanation, we would love to hear it.
It's complicated to express.
Figured that much. Just sit down.
For this, yes.
We have all night.
It may take as much.
And he like moves his hand this way, and one of the crates kind of scoots, and he sits upon it.
Still cool, still fucking cool.
I have a lot I want to accomplish. And only one person who understood and believed in that idea. And that's me. I've done terrible things in my life. As I know many of you have as well. Things you regret. Things you think you're doing for the right reasons. I cannot say I regret what I've done. I just regret how things have changed since I made that decision. You weren't part of the plan.
Well, number one, what did you want to accomplish? Number two, just fucking explain the plan. Because we've been guessing and it's, I don't know if we're right, it's...
He doesn't want to say it out loud.
You want to write it down? You want to draw it? You want...
No.
You want to play charades?
No, he...
First word, world domination?
If he says it out loud, then he's going to have to hear what it is. And he's not going to like who he is when he hears it. I know you're a good man.
You are, we know you, Essek.
And
I am but a humble, selfish creature.
But avarice and fear can often disguise themselves in a good man as strength and righteousness until he's forced to unveil them in front of people that he trusts. Just say it. We're here.
I'm sorry. Sorry that you've all been pulled into this web of lies. When I first saw you arrive with the beacon, one of the two that I gave, I knew I had to be near you to protect what we had done. I had to make sure that you did not get too close to the truth.
Backfired.
If I could control the direction of your meanderings near this endeavor, perhaps it would have been safer. What I didn't account for was liking you all. And there's nothing worse than betraying those you come to care about before you even came to care about them. At least not in my experience, and regret is a very new sensation. The pain is somewhat comforting, because I am my own punishment.
Do you still want what you started out wanting?
I've spent my life working towards it. I think things got a little out of hand.
What do you want?
I've already told you. There are so many mysteries around these beacons, around Dunamis, what it's capable of. My entire life I've been propped up to be perhaps worthy of being one to break those boundaries, to find applications for it that could change everything. And if I don't do it, the first person who does, I don't trust them.
I drop down onto my knees in front of him and turn his face to mine. You listen to me. I know what you are talking about. I know. And the difference between you and I is thinner than a razor. I know what it means to have other people complicate your desires and wishes. And I was like you. I know what a fool I have been for years. And I'm looking at him as if I am looking in a mirror. You didn't account for us. Good. That is life. Shit hits you sideways in life and no one is prepared. No one is ready. These people changed me. These people can change you. You were not born with venom in your veins. You learned it. You learned it. You have a rare opportunity here, Thales. One chance to save yourself. And we are offering it. And I place a hand on his shoulder, pleading with you to find your better self. He is still there.
There is no path to redemption for me. If what has been done comes to light, if what you are seemingly looking to correct is known, then I am a dead man.
I lean in and kiss him right here. And say, maybe you and I are both damned. But we can choose to do something and leave it better than it was before.
You weren't part of the plan, And now you're all in terrible danger for the things that you know.
So be it.
I've not cared for anyone but myself for the century I've been alive.
I hold his hand.
Who are you today? Not then. Right now. It's all that matters.
It can be disorienting having friends get under your skin.
I cannot be here.
So you lot started this war, and now you're going to finish it.
Yes.
And we're just supposed to turn the other way and pretend like you're not all a bunch of traitors.
Yes.
I mean, I like you, but the other ones, we're just gonna let them get away with it?
They always have.
Thousands have died, Essek. Thousands of innocents.
And I know for a fact that one of the people you have been negotiating with would throw you, me, any one of us, any member of the country he helps govern into the fire. Anyone. I think your intentions are good, but I think perhaps your vision has been clouded.
My intentions were never good. They were important.
You're gonna have to make a lot of babies.
I'm not sure that's well.
So many, it just...
There's
So, let's talk about what we are going to do next. Obviously, this plan needs to move forward.
Yes.
Optimally, yes.
Yeah.
You're not going to betray us again, Essek. You're not going to, like, leave here and tell everyone that we know and then get us killed.
Well, that depends. You show me a kindness.
We've done nothing but show you kindness.
You're not wrong.
We're gonna need a certain amount of honesty going forward. Rebuild some trust. Otherwise, well, Yasha, I mean, she's better at that part. I'm not gonna.
You have been spilling secrets to people on the assembly. Now you can spill secrets to us. And we will move forward with this plan. And I am telling you, there is a very high likelihood that the people that you are dancing with mean to cut your throat and leave you in the dust, with many others.
Then perhaps it is best that I surround myself with friends to protect me. For the enemy of my friend is my enemy indeed, yes?
Well, you have a plan in place and you think that will end this conflict. I don't know that we agree. However, we move forward. Can we count on you when the deal sours?
I have far more allegiance to you than I do any empire or dynasty. For I've not had any for either.
You are a broken person who had ill intentions and wandered aimlessly into a path that you had no intention or no idea how to complete. And yet somehow along the way you found a heart. You sound like all of us.
Yeah,
Welcome to the Mighty Nine.
It is in that interest that I just want to warn you about getting too close. I am tied to a lot of dangerous individuals. And Teacher in the Shadows at the crux of all of this conflict, intentional as it may not have been. I would never want to put you in a situation, or put myself in a situation where I would have to choose between myself and the rest of you.
Why don't you talk us through the next few days and weeks?
I don't think I can protect all of you. And that is why I'm worried.
Well, I would just hope that if things go pear-shaped on us, counter to how you hope and believe things will go, if your life is in danger and our lives as well, that you are willing to work with your friends to survive it.
To survive it, yes.
Make no mistake. We do not trust you.
Good. That'll help you survive.
Doesn't mean we don't hope for you. It's a tricky balance, Essek.
Isn't everything?
But, I mean, let's not kid ourselves that at some point someone is going to have to pay for some of the damage that has been done.
I admire your sense of heroism, but history is full of people who have not paid for their sins.
Full with a lot of people who have.
Or some who've paid for others.
Once again, for whatever it's worth, I am sorry.
Apology accepted, at least from here.
He doesn't speak for all of us.
I definitely do not.
Why don't you get some rest, Essek?
You do the same. Night is still young. I would hate for you to waste such a polished presentation. He sits up off his crate and kind of glides back to his faint hover. Good night. And his illusion once more transitions to the blonde elven figure that he's been masquerading as since his arrival in Nicodranas. He waits tensely to make sure that he can leave.
If you truly hope for a second chance, truly, step very carefully with us.
Glide.
And he just leaves.
Well, that's a pickle.
What the fuck?
Hi. Really good ice cream here. How did it go?
So good.
I mean, all things considered.
It's pretty delicate, actually. We let him go.
Oh.
Okay.
Alive?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, he's... Yeah,
Out to sea. Be free.
We're gonna keep our eye on him. We're gonna make sure that this truce thing happens, and then afterwards, there's a bit of an internal debate about whether we are going to go on a on the trail of blood and redemption and justice, or if we are going to just simply turn a blind eye to all of the wrongs that have been committed in the last few years. Or somewhere in between, there was, at the end, there was sort of floated an idea that we would become an elite ninja force that would go in and just very quietly kill those, or at least capture those who were responsible without causing any other ripples in society.
So I like being a task force. Let's be a task force.
Whose idea was the ninja force?
That was
Caleb's. I think it was
Caleb, you're so smart. That sounds like so much
Access to
fun.
ninja training?
I wonder. You know what? I could probably get some costumes made for us.
I feel like both sides of that debate were a little more nuanced, but yeah, it's kind of.
I think we clearly need to let off a little bit of steam. This has been a very long day.
Very long day.
Can I ask, did you believe him when you let him go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He seems like he has a lot to lose and a lot at stake.
Could have had a better lie.
Yeah.
A brief pause before the response comes. I am just contemplating what is to come. I appreciate what sliver of trust allowed me to leave. It's not forgotten. That's it.
So he's just sitting there thinking about you kissing him, Caleb. That's all he said. Like, he's just like, Caleb, kiss me, Caleb, kiss me.
Sure, that checks out.
No, that's not what he said.
The reality is, we don't trust him, no. And redemption for him is a long shot at best, but...
True.
I mean, you held a sword to my neck once upon a time.
That's true.
I'm not saying ignore what he's done, Veth. He has a great many more footsteps to take if he indeed wishes to make up for what he has done. It's very unlikely.
You'd have to earn it, one step at a time.
One step at a time.
Glide.
One slide at a time.
Those are jump squats.
Also, truth be told, obviously we do not trust him, but we know more now than we did before, and we can potentially use the man.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Did it change your opinion of what we're supposed to do? Head out to sea or stay?
We head out to sea. Plan stays the same. If we recruited like another wizard, would you guys butt heads?
Well, you know, Essek and I get along fairly well, I think.
That's true.
And
He's a war criminal, you know. What are we gonna do with him?
After we fix the war, then we'll punish him.
I don't trust him.
Of course not. That's why we'll punish him.
Could bring baked goods, I agree.
Maybe if he brings some baked goods, then we will punish him less.
1 year off his sentence?
Sure. For every
there's plenty of people in your own nation to be furious at.
Sure. Yeah, we should get them too.
What are you talking about? Are you trying to... What are you saying?
I'm saying she has a lot of vitriol for Essek, and that is understandable, but there is just as much fault in our own country.
Oh, yes, no, I think the Order should be punishing everyone in the Empire first. Because we're going to become a team of ninjas that just does that for a while.
Yeah, and it's not a pissing contest of evil or who's the bigger war criminal.
And then after all of the Empire folks have been punished and killed by us, team of ninjas, then we will punish Essek. Or at least see that he gets some sort of... I don't know. He has to... There has to be some sort of... We can't just let it go.
Justice.
Yeah.
Well, add him to the list.
He can be at the end.
We'll be at the end.
I'm going down. Below decks.
Sure.
Actually, leave the deck late. On my own.
I'll go to sleep.
Okay. All right. Everyone's going to sleep.